Everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here in Insurance Syndicate headquarters, and man, we have a great show for you.
Good morning. What is happening, man? It's Tuesday. Y'all know what time it is. A little Tuesday Training for you guys. I appreciate y'all hanging in there with us. We were working to boot this show last week. Unfortunately, had some issues that came up, but that's how it goes in our business. And we are live today. We're going to have Ronnell Nolan on the show here in a minute. The HAFA Bulldog, man. If you do not know Ronnell Nolan, buckle up because you're ready for some good stuff. We are going to dive into a lot of what is going on in the ACA market. Probably touch on some of the stuff going on in the Medicare market as well. I'll certainly let her have some time to introduce herself a little bit more. But as I've kind of gotten to know Ronnell a little bit over the last few years, she is definitely one of those people that is fighting for what is right for not only us as agents, but also, our clients, and to make sure that we are getting, I guess, what we deserve is probably the easiest way to put it, to make sure that have something to do, we have a good living to make, we have opportunity, and that these insurance companies are doing right, again, not just by us, but more importantly, our consumers. And there's certainly no shortage of news in the insurance space right now, especially when you get into the health insurance space. We have carriers that are removing plans. We have carriers that are slashing commissions, dropping commissions 100%. They're pulling the rights for us to even advocate or consider or write certain plans. For example, some of you out there know in the Medicare space that we can't even write the Humana PDPs anymore. They've completely been taken away from us, which truly means that we can't properly advise our clients on what is going to be the right fit for them, right? We ultimately just have to push them in a direction where, here, go to Medicare.gov, self-enroll, figure it out for yourself, Betty, because I can't even enroll you in this Humana plan, even if I believe it's the right one for you. Kind of a tough spot for some of us. I get it. So there's a lot of things that we as agents are having to navigate, adapt to, and figure out how we properly move forward to not only bring forth good service and good products to our clients, good solutions for them, but make a living too, right? There's a lot of states that are behind it. We're going to get into some of that. I don't have any other news articles that I'm going to jump into. We're just going to jump into it with Ronnell. Before I bring her on stage real quick, I just want to give a shout out to my guys over at DFY CRM for sponsoring the show. Appreciate you guys, man. They're one of the best white labeled, go high level CRMs out there for the insurance agent. Certainly my CRM of choice. If you're an agent in the insurance world, particularly in the health insurance world, but life insurance as well, and you're looking for a good CRM, definitely give my guys over at DFY a call. They are doing the job and doing it well. So without further ado, I want to jump right into the crux of this thing and get it going and get our friend on stage. So please, if you are listening in right now, and I see a bunch of you online, give it up for my friend Ronnell Nolan. A little virtual clap for her. It is great to see you. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I am doing wonderful and a little chilly in Louisiana, so a little different, along with everything else going on in our lives.
We had a temperature drop over Sunday, did we not?
30 degrees is weird for Louisiana.
It's a little weird for Austin, Texas, too, this time of year, but it is kind of nice to get a little break from the heat. Thankfully, it's nice and crisp and sunny outside, so it won't get too bad. But we want to bring some sunshine to the insurance world and get rid of some of this gloom and doom that is out there going around. Now, I know a lot of people probably know who you are. You're kind of nicknamed as the HAFA Bulldog. If you guys aren't familiar with HAFA, that's HAFA, the Health Insurance Agents for America. Ronnell is the founder and executive director, CEO of that organization. And she is out there moving and shaking with the leaders at Congress, with these insurance carriers, trying to advocate and fight for our rights. Again, not just the rights of agents, but the rights of the insurance consumers as well. So that's kind of a short introduction, but if you don't mind, Ronnell, just take a moment, kind of let them know again a little bit more about who you are, what HAFA is, and what you're doing to fight for us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. I so appreciate this opportunity. We are we're a lot of bit different. I'm just going to be honest. We are a trade group, just like the other wonderful trade groups that are out there. The biggest difference is that we represent insurance agents exclusively. There are no carriers that are our members that sit on our boards, that make decisions, that fight for or against commissions. So, we don't allow them to be in the crux of what we do. They are partner sponsors. That's fine. About 13 years ago, I decided that we needed a trade association to represent us exclusively. I was lobbying for another association. There was a bill in Louisiana that said insurance companies were not going to pay commissions, and y'all could just try to negotiate a fee. Which, beginning in ACA, people are poor. We're not going to get paid. So I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to fight this. My first big fight. And that other association said, you can't go to the Capitol. You can't fight it. And if you do, we're going to fire you. And I said, better yet, why don't I just quit? So within a week, we had a board. We had HAFA. Within 2 months, I was speaking in different states. We picked up agents in other states. So while we started in Louisiana, we're now in all 50 states. We have an office in Washington, D.C., and we fight for agents and your clients exclusively. That's all we do 24/7. My brain is always working to figure out what chess piece can I move in a different position that somebody else isn't doing, that I can beat those carriers, that CMS, Capitol Hill. So it's constant in my brain. If I'm awake, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out, because we keep having to flip the script, because they keep changing on us. And let's just be honest. We are under fire. And if you don't realize that, you're living under a rock, and you need to get loud, and you need to get proud, and you need to get involved. And if it's not HAFA and I'm not your cup of tea, which I'm not everybody's, because I promise you, I'm in your face, I'm fighting. I hug every senator and representative on Capitol Hill, whether they want to be or not, because I'm going to hug you, and then I'm going to tell you how the cow ate the cabbage. I don't know if y'all know that. That's how my mama used to say it. But happy to answer any questions, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Since obviously you're fighting, for our rights and the rights of our consumers, what is your biggest fight right now that's at the top of your priority list?
Always, I think from the beginning, was commissions. I think it will always be the fact that we deserve to be paid a fair wage. I've never said, we need to be rich. I've never asked for more money. I've asked for a fair wage. Don't rip our commissions out 7 days before open enrollment. Don't decide you're not going to pay us during SCPs. Don't decide you're going to pay commissions on renewals and not, new business. It's going to be that's going to be the top. There's so many other things underneath that, but that's always going to be at the top.
Why do you think some of these carriers are reducing or eliminating commissions? Like, for example, here in Texas, Baylor Scott & White, which is a pretty strong, very popular ACA marketplace plan. I've been enrolled in it myself over the years. Generally a great plan to have consumers in. Like, Baylor Scott & White's a great organization. Why are they not paying agents on their ACA plans?
And I'm not sure if can you cuss on your plan?
As far as I care.
Okay.
We're all adults here.
There's not a damn sheriff. There's not a damn sheriff that's telling them, hey, you cannot do that. That's not allowed. It should be coming from CMS. It's not coming from CMS. So what HAFA's started to do in Texas is work with TDI. Now, it's taken me a long time, and I had to work my back ways, get people to force them to meet with us, because they didn't want to. I get it. You don't want to meet with me. You don't think I'm important. That's fine. I am, my people are. So we finally met with them, and they're like, okay, well, what's going on with Baylor Scott & White? What's going on with me, Melina? Let's look at the contracts. Let's see what's going on. If CMS doesn't stop them, Texas should. And this is the reason. The carriers file commissions with rates. Mm-hmm. And then arbitrarily they take that commission out and keep it as profit. That's the bottom line. Bottom line, easy to understand. Well, in some states, they line item the commissions. Louisiana, they say, okay, we're going to pay X amount, easy to find. Texas, they just say we're going to pay commissions. So TDI says, well, we're really not sure what they were paying or if they were paying. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the smartest person on earth. I'm going to be honest. But if I file a rate and I take out commission and the rate stays the same, I kept that money as profit. Not that hard for me to understand. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an expert on that level. So I'm hoping somebody, at TDI gets it. And then yesterday we were meeting with the Commissioner of Insurance in Louisiana, and their Deputy Commissioner of Health said, Ronnell, Texas should be all over this because each insurance company has to file an actuarial form with their rates. They don't have to put, I'm going to pay 5%, but in that administrative fee, and y'all will remember MLR 80/20, in that 20%, they have to say what they're going to do with that money. They put, we're going to pay commissions. So he said, even if you don't know what the amount was, either that form is a lie or now they're doing something that is unlawful. But that I'm going to send TDI today to those actuarial forms because maybe they weren't thinking about it. I didn't know they existed, but now I do. And now I can point them to that. So Baylor, Scott, and White, shame on you. You've lost your mind. Molina's doing something different. They're saying we understand that the enhanced tax credits is not being extended until the end of the year, hopefully. Okay, so we based our rates on the fact that we're going to get bad risk. So we don't want any bad risk, but we're going to pay you on renewal because we want to keep the business we have. We know that block. In my opinion, my attorney says I have to say in my opinion, that is steerage and it's against the law. They're doing it on the Medicare side a lot. They're now doing it on the ACA side. That should be stopped. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Now, most people do not know that insurance companies have two sets of rates for this year. One they filed that says it's extended tax credit ended 12/31. One that says we get enhanced tax credits. So they have another set of rates that brings those rates down as soon as those tax credits are extended. So they still have to be approved by the states, blah, 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 but they're there. That everybody has them. So we're just waiting for that if that does happen. So it kind of makes you think you're supposed to extend the tax credit, get it? Why does it also reduce the rates? Well, we know because they know then the rate pool is going to change. They're going to get healthier people. So it's not just that the government is going to give more money to bring down the premiums. Insurance companies are because they're adjusting their rates. Somebody asked me yesterday, I think I was doing an interview and, they were talking about, the insurance companies pulling out the commissions last minute, how do they do that? And, that they have reasons, do they have reasons? And I said, all these are coming out and saying, we didn't understand the risk pool. We had to pull out commissions because we're trying to be profitable. And I said, I'm not the smartest person on earth, but if I'm paid $30 billion and I'm the CEO of an insurance company, I better have better actuaries that understand when I file rates at the beginning of the year, that I know what the hell's going to happen at the end of the year. But obviously 7 days out, they're like, oh no, we're not going to pay commissions because we didn't calculate our rates correctly. My point, that you're stupid. Shame on you. In my opinion, you're stupid. Shame on you. You should have known better. You should have known better. And to fix your problems on the back of agents and brokers is criminal. So we bought you the business. You'd have never met my client. You would have never touched my client if I wouldn't have brought it to you. So I bring my client to you. Then you decide, I don't need you anymore. I have your client now. I mean, in what world do we live in that they're allowed to do that? It's not their client. It's not their business. It's ours. And we need to, again, get loud and proud and take our business back. Sorry.
I can certainly appreciate that. I think, I definitely think there's an argument there, whether or not it's their client or not. I mean, I would definitely say whether, and not that I'm necessarily supporting this, but I would definitely say that the carrier definitely doesn't believe that. The carrier believes it's their client.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
100%.
There was a
And
point
I
that
can
Health
get that.
Serpa thought it was theirs.
Right.
And you'll probably remember when Health Serpa said you couldn't download your list of clients because they were theirs. And I made a couple of phone calls to Washington, D.C. And that afternoon, Senator Cassidy reached out to the head of CMS. That was changed, within hours. I got cussed out that night by CMS, which I love to be cussed out because I think that's fun. It means you did something good, but absolutely was changed. So, I think I know insurance companies think they're theirs, but we can
100%.
also take them and put them somewhere else if that's better for our client. So we're in control. They're not in control.
I would definitely agree with you in that regards, that we are truly the one that hold the cards ultimately, right? And where we move our client base, where we push our client base for whatever reasons, hopefully for valid reasons.
Right.
But I've noticed, I've been in this business 21 years, and I remember 10, 15 years ago when I really started to see that clients thought that way, that they thought, no, it's our client. You're just someone that helps us get the business, and we appreciate you. Here's some commissions. But I started to notice that with certain carriers where they would remove your book of business after a certain amount of time, where now you couldn't access your book of business. I'm not going to throw any specific carriers on the bus, but there was a Medicare supplement carrier out there that's very prominent, but after 60 days, you can't see your book anymore. And they did that purposely because after they take rate adjustments, they don't want you to have easy access to go roll that business somewhere else. And I can understand their plight there. Like, I see both sides of that fence. And then now fast forward into some of these Medicare Advantage carriers that are out there, they're limiting a lot of our ability to actually service our client at the carrier level, right? Like, I was having to do a three-way call yesterday with one of my clients in Cigna, and they were not happy that I was doing a three-way call, that I was sitting on the call with them. They're like, no, what are you doing here? Like, we can't talk to you. I'm like, all we're doing is a PCP change, like, relax. I'm not stealing HIPAA information. You've already validated all of our HIPAA information anyway, as I have. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. But she was taken aback when she was like, why are you still on the call? Like, this doesn't make sense. You have to drop out of the call. And of course I didn't. I just muted myself and made sure that my client was taken care of properly. And I still had to interject a couple of times because the carrier was moving her in different directions. And I talked to an agent yesterday. Same thing. Him and his administrator did a three-way call with Humana, with one of his clients, to help them with some changes. And the entire time they were transferred into sales, where sales was trying to convince that client that they need to change plans. And I'm just like, where did they get, pardon my language, where do they get the balls to do some of that stuff?
I know.
Like, it kind of blows my mind. And as we were chatting backstage before we started this conversation, there's a handful of states that are now starting to fight back, right? Like, we have Idaho, Delaware's involved. I believe you said Louisiana's working on their bulletin.
North Dakota, Oklahoma, there's 6. New Hampshire.
Yeah. What's the state's angle on this?
Basically, I'm going to say it in layman's terms. They're saying, not in our state. You're not going to do this. You're not going to hurt our seniors, period. Idaho's going even a step further and sent 2 cease and desist to 2 insurance companies, including United Healthcare. So they're like, you're not going to do that in our state. God bless Idaho and their forward-thinking. On social media, we've reposted the Idaho commissioner's video on his reasoning. Spot on. And then you picked up Delaware, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Montana, and then Oklahoma gets involved. Now, Oklahoma is a prior NABIP member. I knew him back in the day. I've been in this business since I was for 44 years. So I've been through a lot, and he was back in the day on the board or whatever, now commissioner. And he says, not in my state for Medicare and not in my state for ACA. So he took it one step further and said, if you're going to work in my state, you're going to pay commissions, which CMS should say, but they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still working on that. But they're taking it a step further. So since Oklahoma started thinking out the box, that's going to be HAFA's new talking points going forward. We just had a meeting with Louisiana yesterday. We said, look, you're going to do the bulletin, put in their ACA. Now, years ago, Louisiana, I passed a law that said insurance companies must pay commissions. I did it. I don't know if any other states have it, but ours is there. Even the commissioner at that time put out a bulletin saying insurance companies can't play with this rule. It is what it is. So we don't really need it in Louisiana, but I said I want them to say it so the insurance companies see it. So we talked on that in that meeting yesterday about this is about putting carriers on notice. We're watching you. We are watching you. Now, what we know is CMS Medicare is regulated by the feds, and everybody needs to understand that. It's a federal regulation. States really don't have a lot of control over that aspect, but they can do something under the Unfair Trade Practicing Act. So they can say you're treating seniors in our state unfairly. So that's important. In talking to the Nevada commissioner last week, he is a new commissioner in Nevada that came from Washington State. So if y'all are from Washington State, you might remember Ned Gaines. He's now in Nevada. He said, I've been proposing, why don't you allow some of the marketing regulation to be regulated in the state? You do all the other stuff, the commissions, whatever you want to do. Let us control what you're marketing and what you're doing. Let the state play a role. And I was like, I haven't heard that. I like it. So what is very interesting, and I keep saying about flipping the script, is I've been going to CMS. Finally, after 4 years, no one has met with CMS Medicare. Nobody could get close to them. They didn't want to talk to agents. And I'm people that know me know I'm very close to Senator Cassidy out of Louisiana. He's in my will. He's the chair of Senate Health, one of the highest ranking senators at Capitol Hill. And I said, I need somebody. Give me somebody. And he said, Ronnell, why wouldn't you have somebody? I said, I promise you, if I email somebody, they ghost me. If I get a name from CMS ACA, they ghost me. And he said, I promise you, you will have a name. You will have a name. I had a name. I got a name. I had 2 meetings with them, and then they set up a meeting with probably about 10 CMS staffers. So I have had that meeting. Not what I wanted to hear, because they're not ready for what I want, because I want exactly what we have on the ACA side with trade groups, with agent committees and things like that. They just want to work with carriers. They don't want to work with us. But that was just the first meeting. So does that mean we give up? Hell no. That means that's the first meeting. And we keep punching them and punching them till we get their attention and say, look, you need to get agents and brokers involved because seniors are being hurt. You care about seniors. You say you care about seniors, then you need to pay attention. So I think working both sides of the aisle, not Republican, Democrat, but CMS Medicare, CMS ACA, which is 2 different things, and know that those 2 people don't talk.
Huh.
Now, the other thing you want to know is that Trump has assigned people in very high positions on those 2 sides. In my opinion, I don't think that some of those people want to make big moves this first open enrollment because they're new. They're still working with a lot of, federal workers that's been there forever, that's done things the same way. Some don't like agents. They're very honest about not liking agents on both sides, and they don't want to make big moves. I think next year they're going to start making some big moves because they have to. They know what's being done, is being done is wrong. They just need they need the kahunas to start making the moves. But very great people love agents. Those folks that are at the top now love agents. They get us.
Really?
They totally get us. But we've just got to get the people that work underneath them or them to tell the people underneath them they need to start respecting agents and brokers.
Okay. I don't have the article in front of me, but there was an article not too long ago, and it is posted in our group, were specifically from CMS. They were saying that they need to crack down on agents and brokers. So it's funny because I know when we saw this administration come in, I know many of us felt like, hey, these are the capitalists. These are the guys that like agents and brokers. They're going to fight for us. They love small business. We're going to be great. And then we're like, wait a second. Like they're saying some, and particularly Dr. Oz in some ways, are saying things that are like, well, wait a second. It doesn't sound like you like us. Like this isn't the language that we have wanted to hear when you guys got into force. So
right.
I'm interested to hear that.
I'm working hard on Dr. Oz. Now, Dr. Oz is over Peter. Peter is under Dr. Oz. Peter is our friend. Peter loves us. Peter Nelson.
Okay.
Always loved us. I met him before he even got that position and knew he loved us from that point. I'm still trying to get in front of Dr. Oz. He did speak to agents and brokers at the CMS face-to-face. I did grab him coming off the stage. If you would have saw the dirty looks I was getting from CMS on the side saying, Ronnell, I told you not to grab him. And I was like, child, you don't give me the opportunity to be that close to Dr. Oz and don't think I'm going to grab him. So I grabbed him, I hugged him, I talked a little bit about agents, I gave him some Mardi Gras beads, and I'm like, I want to meet with you. What Dr. Oz people have said to me is, Ronnell, you're so close to ACA folks, you've got a relationship there. Do you really need to meet with Dr. Oz? And I'm like, hell yeah, I do, because of things that he's saying. But and I'm glad you kind of gave me the entrance to that. Realize that people say all kind of stuff.
Sure.
I don't even know if they mean it at that time. Dr. Oz, you hear Trump tweeting, you see something, about the four congressmen, 2 Republican, 2 Democrat that had an idea of extended tax credit. They've all got ideas. No one knows what's going to happen. Quit putting it on social media. Quit being that person that goes, oh my God, what are we going to do? President Trump said it's all going to hell. Well, it might all go to hell, but it's not going to be coming from him. It's going to be that something else is going to happen. It might look different. They might extend the tax credits. I really think they have to for a year at least, just to get us over that hump. Maybe they come up with something better. I'll be perfectly honest. I never thought about this, and I think about so many things, but I heard Senator Cassidy give his presentation the other day on YouTube. And Joseph Stevens, here I am trying to take care of my mother. Those that know me, been taking care of my mother. And Joseph sends me a text and he's like, are you online? I'm like, no, I'm in the line at McDonald's getting my mama some French fries. But he said, turn on YouTube. Cassie's on YouTube. Well, Cassie's a big HSA proponent. He loves HSA. And he said this line, I will never forget. Why not give the enhanced tax credits directly to the consumer and not to the rich insurance companies for them to put in their pocket and not produce premiums? And I thought, damn straight, because we know that, but we hadn't thought about that. The tax credits go directly to the insurance companies. Every month they're sent, for our clients directly into their pocket. What if there was something, and I don't know what it really looks like, but what if there was something that our people still got the money? They would need us more than ever. So flip the script. We would have to do a lot of education. Here's your marketplace plan. Here's your HSA plan. Let me help you figure out how to use that. Totally gives us another job. Totally makes us more important than ever before. So again, that was a presentation. Does it even have any votes? Who knows? He just presented it, but it was something just to make you go, so those things you're going to hear, you're going to see, and just be aware and put it in your thinking cap of, how can I make this work if it does? So I think they would need a year to create something. I don't think they're going to replace the ACA. Lord, that's too, embedded. But I do think that they need to take the money away from these greedy insurance companies. I did a TikTok the other day when a CEO makes 30 billion or 20 billion and they're not willing to pay agents and brokers $20 or $30 for a policy, something's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't ride in a Rolls Royce. I just bought a 25-year-old car. Love it. Think she's cool. But no, I don't drive in a Rolls Royce. I don't have a private jet. None of us do, but they do. and they don't deserve it if they can't figure out how to run their business and pay the people that bring them the business.
I would agree with you 100%. Like, it blows my mind. I look at some of their reports. It's like they're making billions. We're still recording, profit growth, period. Stock prices are up, but they can't pay agents $45 on that PDP plan.
Right.
Like,
I was talking.
I have trouble mapping that out in some ways, or at least justifying that.
Yeah, one of the guys, and I think he's right under the commissioner. He was reading all the bulletins that I brought, and I think it was Delaware he was reading, and he said, Ronnell, they're calling people and changing their plans. Should insurance companies be calling people and changing their plans? I said, no, but they're changing their plans to a plan that they're profitable in, and y'all aren't doing anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. And that is criminal. Going along with those stupid, commercials that people think they're talking to Joe Namath because they're lonely and want to talk to somebody, and their plans are being changed. Those need to go away. And it needs to go back to the good independent agents and brokers that are helping people every day. Like, that's our job. We're not salespeople. We're relationship people. We know our people. We take care of our people. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we need Congress, CMS to understand who we are and what we are. I've told the story to several people, but Senator Wyden had some bills about agents and brokers need to be penalized $10,000, blah blah blah. And I went there. I was like, this is crazy. So what I'm going to do is bring some agents to meet with your staff, and I want them to tell their story about how they help clients, and that they bring them to the doctor, and that they do this, and that they do that. And by the end of the meeting, the staff was crying, my agents were crying, HAFA members were crying, and people were telling the damn truth. So I was like, you want to meet an agent? I want you to meet an agent. I want you to quit saying we're the bad guys. And we have got to do more of that so these people do not, think we're bad. House Ways and Means reaches out all the time. Finance reaches out all the time. We'd like to interview y'all about fraud and abuse. And I said, the fraud and abuse is on the back of CMS. They allowed it to happen. So you need to talk to them. If they wouldn't have opened the door and only had, a name and state and date of birth where I could find anybody in the world and change their plan, that's on them. And they still haven't fixed it. They put things on us. They keep adding more and more and more stupid stuff they want us to do that's not doing anything, nor can they prove to me it's doing anything. However, they haven't done anything to correct their issue, like put a 2-factor in or whatever. So I tell everybody I talk to on the Hill, they're like, well, let's talk about agents and brokers and fraud. And I said, no, let's start at the beginning. It's CMS. You start at CMS. Then you figure out where the problem came from.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fraud that is rampant is less on the agent. And I know this for a fact because I look at Medicare fraud specifically, and I don't know what kind of fraud exists in the ACA space other than some of the Wild West plan flipping that you just kind of mentioned, because data is too accessible in some cases. But like the fraudulent problems that are in Medicare are not, the bulk of them are not out us. 100%. 100%. Like, there's not an agent out there on this, and there's not an agency out there, I don't care how big you are, that can generate $1 billion in fraud. Right. There is a couple in Arizona that are doctors that 100% had a little fun and created $1.2 billion in fraud with their little skin graft scam that they put together. So fraud is, I 100% believe fraud is more in the provider, the shady provider side, than it ever will be in the agent side, number one. But I want to backtrack a little bit. Number one, it's great to see some of the states get involved and say, hey, not us, not in our state. You had mentioned that you were meeting with a bunch of CMS staffers and that you weren't getting the answers that you wanted. What kind of answers were you getting? What is their perspective?
Well, one of my questions was, do they file commissions within, file commissions with their Medicare filing? And they said, well, they in their filing, they say between 0 and the max. Okay, well, that gives them the opportunity to pay 0. Yep. So I haven't figured out if that's a legislative fix or a regulatory fix, but that number shouldn't be 0. It should have a bottom. That's our first problem. The second problem is I talked about why they didn't have a relationship with insurance, agents, and I've said that. They just want to work with carriers. They do not understand the importance of agents. They think carriers should take care of us, that CMS shouldn't, play a role. And that's going to be a learning curve because ACA gets it. They understand. There's no different than the CMS Medicare side, no different whatsoever. They should use us as a group that helps them, boots on the ground. This is what's happening. I can tell them stories that I was on an advisory board for the commissioner in Louisiana. We were talking about Medicare, talking about call centers, and these call centers that are allowed to call people from foreign countries, and they use the word yes. So they say, hey, is the weather beautiful? And if they say yes at any time, that gives them permission to transfer them to their agent to change their plan. Baloney. The second thing that I was told is people were calling and saying, hey, if you changed our Medicare Advantage, we'll come cut your grass. And the commissioner's like, nobody's coming to cut your grass. What the hell? But if nobody says anything to these people, they are saying all kinds of things. Now, we can't call people. We're regulated. So why are these groups being allowed? And from everything I've understood, the majority is out of the country, that it's happening. It's still happening. CMS is still allowing it to happen. And then when I question them about some of these things, they're like, well, we can't control them because they don't have an NPN, the out of the country people. The stuff that they say doesn't make any sense. I'm like,
can't you hold the insurance agency or call center accountable that's using those foreign entities?
Right. Can't you go down that
They do
rabbit
have
hole?
an NPN.
Now, I will tell you on the ACA side, not on the Medicare side, but on the ACA side, HAFA has its own fraud reporting tool. We were the first people to put it on there. Shout out to Lauren Jenkins out of Oklahoma. She created it. And our attorney and I flew to Baltimore and brought a stack of repeat offenders, not one-offs, not me that I did something wrong or you thought I did something wrong, repeat offenders. And they said, well, what do you want me to do with that? I want you to take their freaking license and prosecute them. That's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
When you have a name, a repeat offender, and you go on Capitol Hill and they say, are you talking about Mr. blah, blah, blah? And you're like, you know him too? Even Capitol Hill knows who the repeat offenders are, and no one's doing anything. And the ones that have been in trouble, because there was one right now that has been in so much trouble, almost got put in jail, has already created a new agency working under somebody else, and was just at a conference I was at. And I was like, what the hell? You were the bad of the bad, but you're back in business. Nobody doing anything.
Yeah, I see the same thing in the Medicare space when it comes to fraud on the provider side. And not to beat that up some more, but like there's a whole group and there's a bunch of them, but there's one particular group, Sunshine Senior Solutions out of Delray Beach, Florida, that has a whole wonderful scam of using people's Medicare numbers to bill for urinary catheters that people don't want, need, use, or receive. I had a client, I found out about it because I have a client here in Cedar Park, Texas, that is a victim of it. Somehow they got her Medicare number, whether it was, I don't know if they're getting them through a data breach or if they're doing it through a scam telemarketing phone call of some sort, right? But then they're bilking CMS for millions, right? The guy that owns this company is already in jail from a previous scam. His girlfriend is now running this company. When I reported the fraud to Medicare, they said, we're aware they're under investigation. Well, how long are they under investigation for? Because I found out that there's news reports about this specific company months and months and months and months ago. Like, how big does the fraud have to get? How much evidence do you need before you go shut Sunshine Senior Solutions down and prevent them from bilking Medicare $3,000 a month per beneficiary whose number they're billing?
There was a time when I heard that Medicare fraud was more profitable than the drug trade in Florida. But that's pretty bad.
That's
because
wild.
you know the drug trade is bad in Florida. I mean,
Absolutely.
insane. Um, one thing that the Medicare folks did give me were 2 email addresses to report things. And I would like our industry to start blowing those emails up to possibly shut them down. Because I think we've done it on the ACA side. We send stuff to the FFM help desk, whether they help you or not, I don't know. But if we started doing that on the Medicare side, hey, saw this fraud, hey, this happened, hey, this hurt, whatever, I think we could do some damage on that side.
I would
And
tend
I
to
don't
agree with you. And I would say that definitely if we're reporting the right type of fraud, like I would encourage agents that are hearing what she's saying right now, don't think of that as like, oh, I don't like my competitor down the street
right. No, no, no.
who's
Yeah,
running
no,
an ad and he doesn't quite have the right disclaimer. No, not that kind
yeah.
of bullshit.
No,
Because then
I'm
you just
talking about
run
you
more heat
saw
on us.
something on
We're talking about
TV.
legitimate fraud.
Exactly. Saw something on TV. You saw some doctors, billing women for penis pumps. I mean, whatever insanity. Then, you know what I mean? Then let's do some damage because I think there's a lot of things happening, but we do not want to attack each other. And that's what's so important is we want to be a family and we want to survive. Yeah, there's a few bad eggs out there. There's bad eggs everywhere. But we're not competitors. We are family and we need to work together to prop each other up, help each other, give each other, solutions. I said on Monday Morning News yesterday, social media normally drives me insane, but there are some people out there giving you some good, hey, I saw this new insurance company that's paying commissions in Texas, reach out to them, gather as much information that you can, pick a mentor, work with that mentor or more than one or two, and let's survive. But don't put your head in the sand and say, hey, it's happening to me, I give up. Like I said, I've been through this for 44 years. I've been through everything that we've experienced. So I'm a lot of different from any other CEO from any trade group because I am an insurance agent. I
Right.
came from that whole area. Then I decided I wanted to lobby, and then I decided I wanted to have an association. There was no training. I just made those decisions overnight while I was dreaming. And here we are. So anybody can do anything. Y'all are all strong. Y'all are some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. This group of people are phenomenal. You guys, you think of things, and especially if you think of something like Ronnell, this is a radical idea, but what do you think about doing this? Send it to me because I might think it's spot on, amazing, but no idea is a bad idea.
Sure.
And we need to figure it out and hit everybody. So we're hitting from the top. That's not really helping us right now. We're working from the bottom. And we're also working with the middle. So we're working with the Department of Insurance and we're still trying to sue people. HAFA has a legal fund that we're working to try to, stop these people. New York, the department, they have a state exchange. In July, somebody hid a bulletin, put it on the door and said, hey, we're not going to pay commissions without having any meetings, no due diligence or anything. So we are fighting that battle. Yesterday morning, we had already raised over 20 grand in our legal fund. That shows you how dedicated the New Yorkers are. That's how much we've raised in 2 years from ACA and Medicare agents. Give what you give, but we've got to have some attorneys. I'm not an attorney. We need to sue these people. Tony said, who do you want to sue? I want to sue Molina for their bad behavior. I want to sue Baylor Scott & White for their bad behavior. And I want to sue United Healthcare for them reading the Consolidated Appropriations Act and terming contracts now saying that if you sell their ACA product, you have to disclose commissions, which absolutely in federal law says it's their job. Now they put it in your contract, so you're going to have to do it until I find somebody to sue them and get them straight. But that's another thing that's being done wrongly. It's in the law. You can Google it. It's easy to read. You can Google anybody. Insurance companies that don't think that have their information out, that's their responsibility. It's not yours. Absolutely, but they're going to term your contract. They're going to steal your business. I already have an agent right now that United Healthcare is stealing $10,000 per month in commissions because of this bullshit. So be aware. Don't freak out. Follow their lead, and then give to the legal fund and let's sue their asses.
Yeah. So they caught this agent supposedly not disclosing commissions when he's writing a piece of business,
Right.
and then they're terminating for cause and taking all
Right.
his
So
money.
nobody knew that was even in that until he came to light. And then United Healthcare says, oh, well, he came to light and people started putting it on social media. All these people kept posting, I just got terminated. I just got terminated for not posting, not disclosing ACA commissions. And I'm like, that's not your job. But going down the rabbit hole, I find out United Healthcare hid it in their contract. Then Melina calls me and tells me they did it. And they're like, Ronnell, they kind of act a little frightened. Ronnell, what's going on with this? I see you in your TikToks. And it's like, yeah, I'm coming for you too. I'm coming for you too, because you wrong. You were wrong.
Wow.
And I told you earlier, if they would bring their attorneys to me and say, hey, Ronnell, you are wrong. Here it is in the law. We can do it. Then I have no problem ever saying I'm wrong and admitting, hey, I'm bad. I'm wrong.
Right.
But they won't. They won't even meet with me.
Right.
Because they know they're wrong.
Because they know they're wrong. Because under federal rule, it says that's the insurance company's responsibility to deal with, not ours.
ACA compensation is the insurance company's responsibility. Blank. I mean, ... That's what it says.
So I'm not in the ACA space. I never have been. I'm an ACA consumer, at least I have been. My understanding, and I've heard mixed reviews from different people, depending, like I've heard some people that are freaking out and they're like, oh my goodness, rates are going up 200, 300% for some of my clients. I've heard other agents go like, it's really not that bad. How bad is it?
Yeah, realize that rates are specific to areas, to parishes if you're in Louisiana, counties if you're anywhere else. They're insurance companies, so they're going to be different. So what I am experience is not going to be the same that you're experiencing, but it's all true and it's all relevant. Mine personally went up 59.2%. So I personally saw and know what it looks like. But what we need to know is that, and I want you to tell everybody, because this is a huge, huge problem. People do not think they're getting a tax credit. So I've had people call their agent saying, I don't want this. I'm not getting a tax credit anymore. Not true.
Right.
Everyone is getting a tax credit. They're not getting the enhanced tax credit that is set to expire at the end of the December 31st. That's the difference. That was the amount that COVID added during COVID to help people pay their commissions. Now, if you think about it, okay, that, some people are like, well, that was extra. That should go away. Well, that should go away if the insurance companies wouldn't keep jacking up the rates so high that people couldn't afford it. So that's why that enhanced tax credit is so important, just to keep people status quo. So take away that it happened during COVID. Let's blame it on the insurance companies and let's blame it on the fact people need it. Do they need to address it? Sure. Do they need to maybe tweak it? Sure. I totally get that. But I think that the best deal would be for them to extend it for a year. Let us get people through this, this year, and then make some adjustments, figure out new things that you want to do. But as an agent, you need to realize that what the Senate just voted on was saying, we'll start talking about it the second week of December. Means December 15th, January 1, gone. Forget about it. You need to go ahead and enroll people in with the higher premium, in a short-term plan, in a MEC plan, whatever plan you think's best for them. Let them decide what's best for them. Show them all the options. It could be that February 1st, we have a new, rate. I have proposed two things to CMS. Number one, that they automatically give people subsidies should that enhanced tax credit go into place, meaning we don't have to do that. Meaning that I would automatically get mine, you would automatically get yours. We wouldn't have to do it. That's my first proposal. My second proposal is to have a SEP for those people that Ronnell couldn't afford 59.2%.
Mm,
I went with the short term. I went without, which people are going to do, and then I can enroll for February 1st. Those are my two proposals that I have on the table that they're looking at. But you might, in all honesty, you might have to enroll your people twice.
right.
You might have to get some help. You might have to pull in some part-time. But I would say that might be what happens, that we have to enroll everybody twice to get that second block of help and get them to have lower premiums. This is going to be the hardest open enrollment ever
100%.
on both sides. Medicare, because we're being screwed about commissions, and ACA, because we're getting screwed on commissions and the enhanced tax credit, and insurance companies raising their rates so high people can't afford it. So on all sides, but this is your opportunity to shine. You can shine. Just know all the options, the pieces and parts. Should I put them in this? Should I put them in that? And always do what's best for them. And in some cases, it might be that you're working for free. And then there are agents that are giving their clients letters that say, send this to the insurance company, send this to your congressman, send this to your legislator, saying Humana is not paying me and they suck. Okay, not those words, but go ahead and send that in. Be involved. I send a letter to everybody that I enrolled in Humana, Medicare Part D, and said, look, I did this for free. They do not pay me. You need to know that. They don't believe I'm important. You know, let everybody know. Tell everybody what they're doing, because they're wrong.
Yeah.
And they need to be called out on their bad behavior.
100%. And then again, just go further now, like some of these carriers won't even let us, like now they've completely removed access from some of those PDP plans.
Right.
So as a gambler, I'm a gambler. I love cards, craps, blackjack, etc. I feel like they're probably now that the CR has been passed and the government's apparently reopening, their ideas, just like you said, to vote on the enhanced tax credits sometime in December. If I was a gambling guy, which I am, I would say they're probably going to pass it.
I agree.
One, because the people need it. Two, it wins a shitload of votes.
And I would flip those. I would say, one, they want to be reelected, and
right.
two,
and two, it is good for the people. But yeah, I would think their biggest motive, at least on the conservative side, and not to get into a political, but it's hard not to be political when your industry is run by politics or politicians.
Right.
It's absolutely in their interest to extend them. Otherwise, they're going to get rocked come the midterms, right?
Exactly. One side or the other. And it depends on who they blame. But if any of them want to be reelected, they better step up, because once they start seeing these premium increases, and that's why it's important for us and our clients to tell them what they're seeing. I think it's going to blow. I think it's going to blow in their face, and it might take till December 1st for it to really blow up, but it's going to blow up, and they're going to have to, if they want to be reelected, they're going to have to do something.
Absolutely. And I appreciate what you said. Like, your proposal seems super logical. Number one, hey, let's at least extend them for another year and figure out how we can better approach this mess properly next time, and put some real thought into it versus just kicking the can down the road, which is what they've really done for the last 4 years on this. And then also, like, preparing agents, like, there's a good chance that you're probably gonna have to enroll people twice, because you're going to get them in something now that takes care of them based on what the current state of affairs are. Government will most likely extend the credits at least for maybe a year, maybe longer, who knows?
Yeah,
and then hopefully grant an SEP for the people that had to make a limited decision based on the current state, but then now that everything is corrected, hey, I want to be in an ACA plan where my tax credits are applied better and I'm getting a better deal and better coverage. So that kind of makes sense. Right. So yeah, so if you're an agent out there, I would definitely be listening to that there's probably a good chance you're going to have to do 2 enrollments this year.
Yeah, you're going to have to. I mean, my prediction, crystal ball. And the other thing is that, there does need to be some, tweaks with the cliff and things like that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Just to pass it as it is, I'm going to totally agree that, yeah, we could use some tweaks on it, and I would be fine with some tweaks. maybe go up to 600% on the cliff instead of 400%, because 600% is still not that confusing. The other thing that I would like to say, kind of in closing, because I know we're tight for time, is that there's a lot of people running their mouth on social media, not agents, but other people that are thinking that 600% is 600,000. So they think people making 600,000 are getting a tax credit, which I ran at 600,000 and 20 dependents, and I still didn't get a tax credit. So when you hear that, correct them immediately. You're misunderstanding that 600% of FPL, which could be 15,000 times 6,
Right.
not 600,000, but we
Right.
need to make sure to correct them on that piece of business.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I've seen some, and again, it's generally not industry people.
Oh, it's not
that have
us.
that confusion 100%. And they're like, oh, these people that are making all this money, what do they get? It's like, no, it ain't them. Calm down.
Exactly. It's for the rich. No, it's not.
Some good education out there. Well, I super appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us a bit and let us know a little bit about what's going on with you. For agents that are out there listening, and we certainly have a good chunk of them, if they're interested in supporting HAFA, if they were interested in talking to you or contacting you in any way, what's the best way to, number one, reach out to Ronnell? How can agents get involved in HAFA to support what you're doing and your fight for us?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to our website, which is www.haf, click on membership, join. There's also the legal tab to give to the legal fund there. And then I'm always available. The easiest way is to go through my assistant, and he'll send you my calendar in link, and we'll set up a Zoom, and I'll talk to anybody. I don't mind helping. That's what I'm here for. And that's HAFA at HAF, So HAFA at HAF, and that's Daryl. And Daryl Chenevere will be happy as pie to help you get connected and get you on my calendar, because I created HAFA so I could be the forefront. So you didn't have to fight with carriers. I could fight with carriers. So you have a battle, you can't be in the front. You call me, and I promise you, I always say I'm a bulldog and I do bite. And I promise you I do.
That doesn't surprise me. Real quick before we close out, I know you travel a lot. I know you go rub shoulders on the hill in different places. What's your next stop?
The next stop is going to be December 10th at the NAIC conference, and all the commissioners of insurance will be there. So you can promise me I'll have my tennis shoes on, chasing every one of those people. So that's going to be my next thing. I'll spend about a week in Hollywood, Florida with all the commissioners of insurance.
Oh, shit. I'm going to be right down the street from you. I'll be in West Palm Beach during the same time.
Awesome. Well,
I might have to extend that trip a little bit somehow and maybe bounce over there with you.
Come see me. Also, I need some prayers to get CMS to help me host a meeting with all the trade groups at the NAIC and the insurance companies to put us all in one room and say, United Healthcare, you're full of shit. Melina, you're full of shit, but put us all in one room to discuss some of this stuff. And I've been begging for this for years. This is the opportunity to do it. And if Peter helps me, it's going down in a month.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for stopping by, man. Listen, if you guys are out there and you're paying attention, and I know you are, join HAFA if you can, right? Come and contribute, help us out a little bit. Reach out to Ronnell, find out maybe, a little more about what's going on and what you can do to contribute and be on the right side. But we appreciate you for stopping by. We appreciate you guys for watching, and stay tuned. Next week, we're going to continue this conversation with my buddy Nir Patel over at Virtuous Benefits, and certainly look forward to that. So have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week for Tuesday training.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you all. Have a great day.